In today's video, I'm in Iceland, struggling to reach a notoriously dangerous photography location. But before we get into it, there's a few things that I want to say. Firstly, Happy New Year! And secondly, it's my New Year's sale. You can get 30% off any of my photography courses and downloads using this coupon code. I'll put a link in the description below. And then lastly, I'm almost at 100,000 subscribers. It's only taken me 11 years to get there. So that means when I first set up this YouTube channel, I would have been 39. That's crazy, isn't it? Anyway, if you haven't subscribed already, please do me a favor and bosh that subscribe button and help me to reach that 100,000k milestone after 11 years and hundreds of videos. All right, let me take you on a spectacular nocturnal adventure. Ooh, look at those mountains. But let me show you some weeds. All right, so as is typical, the beautiful pink clouds that were just starting to creep over the top of the mountains as I drove in are now being replaced by a complete blanket of greyness. So that's great. I was pretty excited as I showed up here, but I don't know if that excitement's warranted now because I don't think this shot is going to happen, but we'll see. The clouds will come in and eventually they'll go. So what I'm doing now, if I just flip this round, is I'm just looking for a nice group of lupins to put in front of that majestic background. You got moody clouds, mountains, a glacier behind that big white one. Come on, just show yourself. Now you'll have to forgive my husky voice because I think we've got the spicy cough. Oh, more than likely we picked it up at the Kronan grocery store back in Vik. So I'm not going to have my usual silky tones. Oh, look at that. Look at that cloud in the background there. That was happening here when I was driving in. But I can see a peak just peeking through that cloud there. So I'm gonna set up my shot and wait to see what happens. Now, believe it or not, this is actually about 1 o'clock in the morning. Weird, eh? All right, things are clearing a little bit in the east. So let's see what this 20 to 35 can do. I reckon it might just be the perfect lens for this. Now, if I just flip this round, what you can see now in these clouds is little hints of pink, and against the sort of grey blue clouds it's almost a bit purple, which echoes this lovely colour that you can see in these lupins. So that's my ideal. If I could have anything, that is what I would have. So at the moment, obviously the bulk of my frame is this field of lupins, and then the distant mountains really only take up just over a third of the frame there. And what's dictating this composition really is the clouds. If the clouds were doing something different and there was colour popping, let's say over there, then I would change the composition. So really this is kind of like a sort of reactionary composition based on what I'm getting. And just in that little bit of time that I was chatting to you there, it's just got socked in again. So I'll wait, I'll just keep waiting, because the thing is, these clouds, they come and go so quick. And I've actually been guilty of quitting too soon, driving off only to see that they're clear and I've missed the shot. I'm not going to let that happen today. And it's not as if I can see anything miles ahead that is any better. So I'm just going to camp on this spot until something happens over there in those mountains. Now for a shot like this, it should be pretty obvious that I'm going to have to focus stack, because look at that. I'm about 18 inches from that first little lupin there. So what I like to do, I'll just show you the camera, is I'll go into here, the shooting mode, and I'll choose focus bracketing. And the way that I've got this set up is to have large steps in between each frame. I've got a 2-second delay before that first shot. I've got a half-second delay in between each frame. And then the sequence, I'll show you this, you can either do it towards infinity or symmetric. I don't know what that means, but basically I get best results when I do towards near limit. So what I do is I focus on the background, so I know that I've got my background focused, and then now it's going to focus towards its near limit from that point on. So I just hit the shutter, it waits 2 seconds, starts taking those 5 shots, getting closer and closer on each frame with a different focus point, and hopefully that'll all stitch together. Oh, the smell out in this lupin field is absolutely, it's heavenly, it really is. What a gorgeous spot to relax and wait for the light to give me something special, giving me plenty of time to experiment. Now, depending on what happens with those clouds up in the mountains there, if they ever get any colour, let's just say it all lights up there in the centre of the frame, then I might just flip the camera vertically, angle it down to stretch the size and pointiness of those mountains, and also these lupins as well, and then just maybe raise it up a little bit, get a bit more separation from that top lupin to that hill, and that might be a shot. And I could get closer, really exaggerate that. I could even make that penetrate up into the sky. But again, I'll have to focus stack that to make that work. So I decided to see how Amanda was recovering from the spicy cough, and as predicted, she was hard at work with her feet up. Now it's times like this, when I'm just waiting for clouds to clear, that I like to indulge in a McVitie's dark chocolate digestive biscuit. It has to be dark chocolate. I will not eat the milk chocolate ones. I will. Is it dark chocolate at least?
60%.
Unfortunately, Amanda's allergic to gluten, so I have to eat all of these myself. Sacrifices. Come on, clouds. There's only so many chocolate biscuits I can eat. And by that, I meant the entire pack.
This is Kropp.
You didn't actually put any in your mouth.
I don't like them because they're Kropp.
So you know how earlier I said, you just got to wait it out. The clouds will come in, but then they'll go and they'll clear. Well, I waited for an hour, and it hasn't got any better. So I'm going to contradict myself, and I think I'm going to bail. I think I'm going to pack up and keep driving, see if there's anything else. You know, though, as soon as I make it round the corner of that mountain there, eruption. You know that will happen. But I've given it an hour. I'm moving on. And like some kind of incantation, as soon as I said that, well, things began to improve. Well, I said I was just leaving. Well, that was the magic word, right? Because I said I was leaving, it opened up and I got a nice vertical shot. If I hadn't said that, it would have stayed closed the whole time. So there you go, top tip. If you want something to change, just declare with meaning that you're leaving, and it will change, sometimes for the better. I'll try it again. I'm going now. I'm packing up. I'm leaving. Might take a while. But look at this. The mountain started to poke through the clouds. Can't believe it actually worked. I did for a second believe it was going to work, but it did. So I'm just going to keep shooting different frames, different focus stacks using that auto focus bracketing, so that I've got different positions of, look at that, got different positions of cloud as it weaves its way through the valley, hides the peaks and then reveals the peaks. I like having that selection, and then I can pick the best ones. And what I love is that grey colour against this green and purple that you can see here in the foreground. Absolutely magic, really atmospheric, and if this shot turns out to be any good, here's the shot. Been a week earlier, there'd have been a lot more lupins, and that's why I've scheduled my Iceland photography workshop to begin on June 29th. There's a link in the description. So we got back on the road, drove by the lava fields, and eventually to the beach, where I could see some spiky sea stacks, which I absolutely love. Now, of all of the images that I've seen of this beach, in particular the sea stacks of this beach, all of my favourites tend to be grey, miserable, rainy days. Kind of like that image that I got of Crohi Head in Donegal. And I just love that moody look. I'm all about that moody look. So I'm thinking that tonight might be a good option. Now, even though the waves don't look too bad, it was still too dangerous for me to try and reach my spot.
Alright, so the tide is on its way out, and the lowest tide, low tide, is in about 2 hours. So I just wanted to have a quick look to see how it looked just before low tide. And where I want to be is basically around this corner of these boulders. I want to be on the other side of these boulders, looking towards those sea stacks. And there's no way it's safe to access that right now. That's way too sketchy. So I think what I'm going to do is head in the opposite direction towards that lighthouse. Hopefully you can just see that beam going off in the distance there. So I'm going to head in that direction, see what else I can frame up on the beach, perhaps looking in this direction, kill a bit of time, and then come back here when the tide's a little bit further out, that it's going to be safe to get around that corner. Because you know what I mean, I do some stupid stuff, but I've heard some stories about this beach, so I'll play it safe today. I really love that beam from that lighthouse on that peninsula up there, like a giant cyclops. So moody and dramatic. Right up my alley is this.
As grim as it was, at least I had the entire beach all to myself.
Well, I've been walking down the beach for about 15 minutes towards that peninsula where the lighthouse is, and now I can't see it. Look at this. It's completely fogged in, and I'm pretty much drenched. I left my flasher back in the car like an idiot. And I also, before this trip, I bought a little umbrella for the hot shoe on the camera for exactly instances like this, these exact conditions, and left that in the car too. Oh dear. Brilliant though, isn't it?
I was curious to see if I could capture a sharp, handheld long exposure in this gloomy light. It certainly wasn't the shot that I came here for, but I really did enjoy the atmosphere of that gloomy light. Not too bad for a handheld shot at 3 AM.
Alright, well, I can't even see the sea stacks now, so I don't think there's any point in, oh, maybe it's clearing a little bit there actually. Go on then, I'll go a little bit more, and I am fully drenched now. I'm not firing on all cylinders with this whole nocturnal thing. I'm a little bit mentally sluggish. But anyway, I'll plod on a little bit longer.
My vlogging camera was so drenched it couldn't focus, and I was rapidly losing motivation.
Well, I've made it to the opposite end of the beach, and there's another pretty cool sea stack here. But I think in order to get a shot of that, you'd have to be up on that cliff looking down, because it's not like I can get behind it. Look at this. There's a hole. I don't know if that's a river running into the sea or if it's just the ocean finding another way around this headland. So that's not a possibility. So yeah, I need to be up there, I think. So guess what? I'm heading back. I'm gonna head back over to those sea stacks over there. The ones that I came here for originally. Yeah, bloody hell. Well, I think this shoot might be a complete bust. I'm heading back to the sea stacks, and it's definitely 3:40 AM, which is round about when the low tide was supposed to occur. It's not really looking much lower, so I don't know if I can get out onto those rocks. It just might not be possible, and I don't know any other way to get to it other than round this side. So I might just have to call this quits and just go back to bed, regroup, and try something completely different.
So it have been too dangerous for me to make it to the ideal spot on foot, but there's always the sky camera. I didn't want to let you down, so I figured I'd try and squeeze in one last shoot to see if I could redeem myself. But the conditions were rather challenging.
Now the challenge with this spot is there's a whole bunch of man-made structures. You've got houses, you've got communication poles, car parks, vehicles. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So what I'm trying to do is frame up something in the foreground here that blocks all of that. So let's just angle this up a bit. So if I move forward, it'll reveal all of those poles and those houses, right? I feel like it looks better like that, but I don't want all that stuff in. So if I move back and then a little bit lower down, I should have fixed that. And I love these purple wildflowers. I don't know what those are, but I just absolutely love them. So I'll see if I can do something with this. And then I might go down the highway a little bit and shoot from a different angle completely. But I want to rinse this spot first before I move on. This wind is ridiculous. It's like being back in Newfoundland. But what a spot. I just got to find the right composition. Let's have a look down here. So I found some pretty nice features in this rocky area, a little bit closer to the white stuff, but not dangerously close. I love all of this lichen. Subscribe. I've got to do it. And then all these little wildflowers here. I'm not sure how many of those are making it into my frame. And this mountain's so big that even at 20 millimeters on a medium format camera, I still can't quite fit everything in the frame that I want to fit in. So I'm doing a little pano stitch from over there, fitting in the mountain, and then I want to get that mountain. You see that other one in the distance? I want to get that mountain with a bit of the surf. So it's just a two-shot pano just to get the composition that I want. And I'm not even bothering with the tripod, I'm just doing it handheld. Anyway, if this one turns out to be any good, here's a shot.
Let's be honest, it's not really a book-worthy shot, is it? But they can't all be bangers, and you guys tell me that you really like to see my failures. Well, mission accomplished. So there you go, landscape photography rarely goes according to plan. Now don't miss the next Iceland episode where we visit this strange yet beautiful canyon that kind of looks like something from another planet. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it the old thumbs up. And if you don't already have a signed copy of my new book, Stories Within Stories, I'll put a link to that in the description if you're interested. And then lastly, just want to say a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters who help me to keep this channel going. You absolute bloody legends. And I'll say it one last time, Happy New Year, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.